Welcome back to another Jazz basketball breakdown. First game after the break, got Charlotte Hornets without LaMelo Ball or Mark Williams, and still couldn't beat them.
That's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
5 straight losses since the trade deadline, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah. We did get a lot more positive signs out of this game. First big change was Taylor Hendricks in the starting lineup.
I like that.
Yeah,
I was happy
I'm
to
not
see it.
upset about that at all.
I would like to see Kessler get more minutes, right? I would like to see it kind of shuffled around a little bit more so that he gets more minutes than he did.
Which he really struggled tonight.
Really wasn't impactful. It's
really
true.
struggled tonight.
But I'd still like to see Taylor Hendricks start. Kessler get some more minutes. He has been showing pretty consistently the last handful of games to be playing quite well. But this one he seemed a little bit slow to the ball, a little bit slow to react, a little bit late.
Yep, and I'd like to see Hendricks and Kessler good minutes together more often down the stretch. Now that Hendricks is getting more minutes, because Hendricks is defensively, man, exciting.
He was put in several situations where he was getting popped on screens, getting over the screens, and kind of the hand fighting and the positioning, and handled it all, quite well. There's some moments that he got a little bit out of position, but loved his willingness to fight on defense, loved his aggressiveness for the rebounds, even the rebounds he didn't get, even several that he had no business
He was there.
even getting. He was there getting a hand on it, fighting for it. And I mean, he ended up with 9 rebounds.
12 points, 9 rebounds.
And it felt like he could have had more and didn't play the entire fourth quarter.
Doesn't play the whole fourth quarter.
Kind of a head scratcher.
Yeah, it drives me nuts, man.
Yeah, the way that we closed that game was rough. The decisions out there seemed pretty rough.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing we've been doing, right, since the trades. The same closing lineup, and that closing lineup relies on ISO tough shots. Is kind of what it relies on. So you're hoping Sexton or Clarkson's hot, and they make really tough buckets. Because if they're not, that lineup gets destroyed. That lineup is not a good defensive lineup. Collins was horrible defensively tonight, and Clarkson's awful defensively. Keontae is getting better defensively, still a lot of times out of position defensively. I mean, we've talked about it consistently. Your closing lineup, your best defensive player cannot be Lauri Markkanen, and really no other defenders on the court.
Something's got to change there. I mean, I put, if we do a lineup that's maybe struggling down the stretch but has a couple more young kids in it, I get it. Something's got to change there. That's a little bit rough. It doesn't check the box of winning. It doesn't check the box of development. It doesn't check the box of.
It's puzzling. Like I said, I mean, Taylor Hendricks doesn't freaking touch the court in the fourth quarter when he has a huge third quarter. 12 points, all 12 of his points in the third quarter. Went on a huge run towards the end of the third quarter before he got subbed out of just big plays after big plays, both sides of the court. Finally starting to find that rhythm and get comfortable on the court. And it's like, hey, here we go. You're not going to touch the court again.
Snagging several big rebounds over big athletes. Putting it back in. That was a good stretch. Yeah, I would have loved to see him get back in there. And right now, I mean, we obviously are going to be keeping our pick, for this year. So it's got to be about finding the right combinations together, closing games, trying new starting combinations. I like that part. So it's got to be for the playing, figuring out stuff for the future. It has to be the purpose of 90% of what we're doing out there.
Right. I agree 100%. Yeah, that closing lineup's just been puzzling since we made the trades. It doesn't work. It doesn't work on paper either. It's not like it's something that you put on paper and it should work, and then you put it out there and it's not working and you're trying to figure it out. No, you put that on paper and it's like that.
Here's what we're gonna do, guys. Jordan Clarkson at the 3.
Yeah, Clarkson's playing the 3. Sexton at
besides
the 2.
Sexton,
and so we're so undersized. And John Collins at the 5. So we're just horribly undersized. And yeah, that lineup is just bad. Keontae had a couple really nice moments tonight. he seemed very careless with the ball tonight. He made just a bunch of really lazy decisions. Not bad necessarily, just lazy, not really zipping it on the pass and stuff like that, where it was just he had like 5 or 6 turnovers this game, which has been abnormal for him. He's normally not that high on turnovers, and a lot of it came down to just laziness. It felt like on carelessness with the ball.
Yeah, and it looked like he would double down on some of those bad decisions with overly demonstrative hands to the head, stopping, pausing. You make a mistake, that's part of it. Just freaking immediately bust your butt to get back on defense and
100%.
and move on to the next play. It seemed like there was a little bit of some head games going on there. Had a spell where he was, creating contact, going to his left, shooting with his right hand again. Like a lot of times, like I keep saying every time I see it, it's an odd way to take a little runner, but he seems to excel at it. Going to his left, drawing contact, shooting with his right. I did like the little spell of Bryce Sensabaugh that came in.
That was exciting. When we made our 10th sub, since the trades have happened, it's been THT. Hopefully the game before the All-Star break, Will Hardy was like, oh man, that's why I haven't been playing this guy. and saw Bryce Sensabaugh, and that was supposed to be part of the reason we made the trades, right? Was to clear time for Bryce Sensabaugh to be able to actually get on the court as well. And he had some real jittery moments.
Yeah, he did.
He had some real jittery moments, which is expected. But he also had a couple good moments defensively, a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Not just necessarily, fighting there. There was a lot of times, where usually poor defenders or young defenders kind of give up on plays, and he just kept fighting. For the most part, there was really not many times where he just kind of stopped, right? He kept working the whole time defensively. It was really good to see, since that's been a concern, right, is where he's at defensively.
A couple of times, like you said, trailing the play, right, and didn't give up on it, didn't then try and just kind of morph into the mob and try and find somebody else to stand by, but kept following the guy, switching off. And I think eventually we got a shot clock violation on the one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was all pumped, and motioning to the bench. You can tell that's something they've been working on and talking to him about. And that's kind of like the old Chris Dunn last year. Every time he'd make a play, he'd turn and flex at Will Hardy, So Sensabaugh, like, yeah, what's up? That was good to see. It's there's some obstacles, some hurdles out there he's going to have to get across, but a young player like that getting an opportunity to get out here the last 25 games of the season and show he's got the offensive moxie, to get the pass right there at the end of the shot clock and not just force it up all crazy, but have the pump patience. Fake sidestep, and it puts up the shot and hits it. That shows some calmness on the offensive side, which by all accounts and by what we saw in college as well, a studly offensive player. So, and we know too that it's going to take 10, 15 games to really shake off the jitters, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so once that starts happening, what's he going to play like? So super glad that he's gotten all of Horton Tucker's minutes. They are now Sensabaugh's minutes, please. And excited to see what he can do and get, those handful. Excited that Taylor Hendricks, his minutes are going up. You can see a little bit of added confidence in him. And once he starts getting, oh boy, here comes the dogs. Yes. They both came down this time, so it comes with an announcement. Can't wait to see those youngsters, though, when they're fully confident we can see what they're doing. That's exciting stuff.
Right. And that's the thing is this is what this season needs to be. I mean, we wish it would have been earlier, right? But this is what the season needs to be, is focused.
Boy, you're getting up in there, buddy.
It needs to be focused on the growth of these young players and see what they can do. And so that's, it super exciting. There's a lot of exciting things about this game, to where it's like, we've consistently talked about, I don't care whether we win or lose the game.
Right.
It's about who's getting minutes where in lineups and situations and stuff like that. It's why, even though I feel like Kessler's been playing really well since going back to the starting lineup, I'm okay with starting Hendricks over him, strictly because then we get Taylor Hendricks minutes with Lowry Markkinen,
Right.
with John Collins, with, Keontae. I love any minutes that our young players get with Chris Dunn. I love the way he interacts with the rookies, and you can tell he's
That's
a
true.
leader and a mentor to these players. And so I love the minutes and what he's giving this team. It seems like a guy who is invested in the future of these guys, invested in the future of the Jazz, which is exciting to see, right? We're hoping we sign him long term. And so I think he is a perfect veteran leadership on our team as we progress over the next couple of years.
What a great story, man. And what a find, as far as the scouting that was done and saying, hey, we think this guy's got it in him, still at 29, 30. That's a great story, and that's great work by the scouting staff there. I would like to see Taylor Hendricks and Walker Kessler get some time together and kind of see if there's any. Did I say it right? Did I mess up names?
Said that.
I was busy.
We've literally already discussed this.
I would like to see those two more. I heard you say John Collins and Lowry Markkinen. I'd like to see the two youngsters, as far as our bigs, some time together and see what's there and what's gelling. And
I'd almost be willing to start Kessler and have Collins come off the bench. The problem is it really hurts us defensively.
For that second unit.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of weird, right? Because we're trying to figure out what Kessler fits in, but it's almost like, okay, John Collins is basically strictly a 5 at this point. With what he's shown this year, and that kind of throws a wrinkle in our big men rotation, but it's not a bad rotation to have those two as your 1-2 bigs right now. So I'm very curious to see what happens with Collins and Kessler throughout the rest of the season and into next season.
Yep, it's been check out his head, dude. He's got his head wedged under the coffee table. That's pretty fun. It's kind of been an interesting experiment this year, kind of the back and forth and trying different combinations and going back to it, from what we tried at the very start of the season. So,
well, and this thing, Collins, right? We move him back to the center position, and he gets 16 rebounds tonight. Man, we become a hell of a rebounding team with Collins and Taylor Hendricks on the court together, and Markkinen at the 3. Man, we become a seriously freaking scary rebounding lineup with that.
It's true. In the level of defense that Taylor Hendricks is already showing, let alone what he's going to kind of improve on and become, that's a piece that really affects both ends of the court.
Yep,
and helps out. So, man, I'm excited about the young players and what we can see them doing and growing. And like we said, I'm excited to see what Keontae George does after an off season. You can tell that he's kind of got some spring and some experience, but when he gets a chance to really put his body into work and how he comes back starting next season, this is going to be a fun stretch.
And that's a big thing I was talking to you about. Keontae, who his big thing has been efficiency so far this season. Obviously, he wasn't super efficient tonight, but over his last 10 games, he's up to 42% from the three-point line, 46% from the field. Those are all huge improvements on his season averages. And so those are the things, we talked about. The efficiency, the numbers will come with the more consistent minutes he gets and things like that. And we're starting to see it. And that's super exciting. He's a dude that fourth quarter comes around and I just expect him to hit every shot.
Man, it's true. You feel a little bit weird when he does miss, and that's so strange.
A big part of losing this game was we can hit shots. They were live. Markkinen's still in this kind of funk shooting wise right now. Mm-hmm. I loved the amount of times we went to him in a post up in this game, ran a lot more through him in the post up, let him just kind of post up and work out of that. Mm-hmm. And I loved that. I hope we do that a lot more as the season progresses and stuff like that. It's something that I think is going to just open up 3-pointers for us. It's going to open up the big passing. It opens up a lot of things that he has in his game that I'm super excited to see as we progress. And it's something I mentioned, I believe on here, but I mentioned to you right when the trades all happened that in practice it seemed like they were working more with Markkinen out of the post in a post up running the offense. And that was something we may start to see. This game, that was very obvious compared to previous games, the amount of times we didn't just like run a motion or pick and roll, and if we got the switch, throw it in. If it wasn't there immediately, just move on from it. It was very adamant of, the patience we've been begging for out of the guards. That was very, very obviously coached. Of the play goes through Markkanen, let it happen, throw it to Markkanen when he's ready, and then clear out and space and let him go to work. If your guy drops, be ready for the catch, or if not, Markkanen will go score. I think we'll see a lot bigger explosions offensively from Markkanen this season because of his ability to run the offense out of that and what it's going to open up for him. I also think we'll see bigger offensive games from him strictly because he's playing next to Keontae George, and Keontae George does a great job at finding him.
It's true. That play is, make sure Lowry's ready, get him the ball. If Lowry still is not ready, wait longer.
Yes.
That's the name of that play.
Yes.
And it sounds simple, but we've really struggled to do that earlier in the season. It's like, oh, give it half a second. Nope, we got to go. I like having the different angles on the offensive side and giving a little versatility and kind of a different look. It was quite obvious that as the shots weren't falling, Charlotte was just sinking into the paint, and in our drives to the hoop, we were putting pressure on and drawing some fouls, getting rebounds and second chance shots, but we couldn't hit a shot to save our lives. So that was that game. Not too worried with a win or a loss against Charlotte, like we said, but just kind of what we're really playing for and what we're working towards. And I mean, we're in the stretch of the last, what'd they say, 26 games?
Something like that.
That's insane. That's flown by.
Yeah. What's funny is now that we're getting to start to see heavy Keontae George minutes, 30-plus minutes a game, 20 minutes out of Taylor Hendricks and 10 to 15 out of Bryce Sensabaugh, if we get that consistently throughout the rest of the year, it's already making me excited for like summer league next year.
Yeah.
And those kind of things, because it's like, man, what kind of growth do we get to see out of these players as this season continues into next season? It's what we've been waiting for as fans, right? What's the future of the Jazz going to look like? We are finally getting to see it, and it's important that we're getting to see that now if we really want to hit this timetable. And so I think the last half of the season and then even summer league and off season is going to be a huge part of realistic expectations for the next 5-6 years, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, that's in summer league is fun, man. And we'd have this year's 3 draft picks and probably another 3 from the draft over this next.
Depending on obviously if we keep all those picks or if we trade some of them.
Who knows? Never know what could happen, but that'd be fun. So the season kind of, the purpose of the team takes on, morphs into a different role, right? Still super exciting for us. I don't know. I'm super nerdy like that. I dig it.
I had way more fun watching this game than I did the last, stretch of games before the All-Star break and before that, because it was, okay, we're starting Taylor Hendricks. Okay, we're getting to see Bryce Sensabaugh. Okay, we're getting a very high usage of Keontae George. Even in the moments of them struggling, you get to see the growth there and the big moments too. And it's what pissed me off that we didn't play Taylor Hendricks in the fourth quarter at all. And so,
you want to see that rewarded, that
yes,
play.
Yeah,
and you saw the coach go over there and shake his hand and talk to him, and as a player, you can see how happy Taylor was in his eyes. That's as a player, he's feeling great. Reward that. Put him in there.
100%. We don't need Jordan Clarkson to sub in and then never sub out again. We are willing to sacrifice minutes for everyone else, it seems, but Jordan Clarkson, which just doesn't make any sense to me because his timeline doesn't fit our timeline. And so let us see more Hendricks and Markkanen together on the court, 3 and 4 and stuff like that. Even if it costs you games, I don't care. It's about the growth of those guys. And so, and it's something that we may see as the season, this last ending of the season progresses and Hendricks gets more minutes and more comfortable. We may see certain times like that where we get to see Hendricks at the end of games and those kind of moments like we begged for a long time to see Keontae George, and we're finally getting that. And so I'm curious to see how things develop over the next part of the season. It makes me way more excited than I was earlier in the season about the direction of where we're going.
Last year, there were quite a few games where we held players out. with like finger injuries, finger contusions. I don't know if we'll see that kind of stuff, but
I hope we do. Honestly, I hope we do. My priority right now is obviously seeing marketing. I love Lowry, but beyond that, I want to see what Kessler can do. I want to see what Hendricks can do. Sensabaugh, Keontae George. I want to see really good minutes with Chris Dunn with the young players because of what he brings to them on the court.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily care a whole lot of Clarkson, Sexton, even necessarily John Collins kind of minutes right now because I don't know where any of those three fit in.
True.
We don't know where the other ones fit in yet either, but we haven't had a chance to see it yet.
Yep, need some interesting combinations. So that's what we're looking for. That's what makes it fun. I mean, tonight's game was fun to watch. It had some definitely bright moments. They're cool.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of exciting things in this game. And that's the thing as fans, you guys got to see is don't look at a box score. Don't look at a, score at the end of the game of whether we won or lost. If you're looking strictly for those things, you're going to hate the rest of the season. You are. This is we kept asking for a true rebuild and to really commit to a team that eventually can win a championship. You have to go through this shit and this mud and this garbage to find the right pieces and to get there. You have to go through this. Most teams, especially small market teams, you have to go through these kinds of things. So as a fan, you got to be willing to experience these kinds of things and watch these and find the good moments in it, understanding that where we're at puts us a lot closer to a championship than where we were 2 years ago with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert.
And think about a team like Phoenix right now that's loaded up with big dogs. How long were they just the perennial bums of the West, right? Yep. Top pick after top pick after top pick after top, and we're talking like 5-6 years in a row of that. So, yeah, I think that our rebuild will be much smarter, it's a smaller timeline than that. But they'll still have pieces of that. So,
yeah, for sure. So, enjoy these kind of moments where we get some good minutes with the young guys. Let us know what you guys thought of the game. Finally back from the All-Star break. Felt like it had been a while since we got a chance to even do something like this. I mean, sure, you even more since you missed the last game of Keontae's explosion.
Yeah, I watched the game that next day, and that was fun.
Yeah, so
that was fun.
I'm excited to see where our young players end up at the end of this year and going into the offseason. Thanks, guys.